Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight as we delve into one of the most explosive and controversial stories that has rocked the world of the performing arts and cultural institutions. This is a story of power, politics, and unfiltered outbursts. A story where a musician's courageous quest for truth collided head-on with the uncompromising attitudes of an institution in turmoil. Today, we take a deep dive into the shocking email exchange that has been making waves on social media and sending shockwaves throughout the creative community. I'm referring to the absolutely unhinged emails that were recently shared by Washington, D.C.-based guitarist Yasmin Williams. In a series of Instagram posts on Wednesday, April 9th, Williams revealed a set of combative and frankly outrageous emails from Richard Grinnell, the interim executive director of the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. In these emails, Williams posed two simple yet pointed questions to Grinnell regarding the Kennedy Center's sudden rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, a move that has become synonymous with the sweeping changes implemented under President Donald Trump's influence on the institution. Williams specifically referenced several cancellations that have shocked the cultural community, including the family-friendly musical Finn and a scheduled performance by the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington. It was clear from the outset that Williams wasn't seeking to stir up mere controversy. She was demanding transparency and accountability from an institution that holds a revered place in America's cultural landscape. Her questions were direct and incisive. She asked, does the president actually care about artists canceling shows at the Kennedy Center? What, if anything, has changed about the Kennedy Center regarding hiring practices, performance booking, and staffing? Instead of answering these legitimate questions, Grinnell responded in a manner that can only be described as unprofessional, asking Williams whether she would play for Republicans or would you boycott if Republicans came to your show. This question, brimming with political bias and deflection, immediately set off a firestorm among critics and supporters alike. Grinnell went further, claiming that every artist who canceled shows did so solely because they could not bear being in the presence of Republicans, a sweeping generalization that has left many questioning the integrity of his leadership at the Kennedy Center. The fallout from this email exchange has been nothing short of dramatic. Prominent artists and creators have distanced themselves from the Kennedy Center in protest of its new policies and leadership. Renowned figures such as Shonda Rhimes, the creator of Grey's Anatomy, Issa Rae, star and creator of Insecure, and Pulitzer Prize-winning singer Rhiannon Giddens have all reportedly pulled their support, while others like Oakland playwright Jonathan Spector and the San Francisco-based International Pride Orchestra have seen their performances abruptly scrapped. This backlash reflects a broader cultural shift, where the public and the creative community are increasingly unwilling to tolerate policies that undermine inclusivity and artistic freedom. In a tone that only escalated the controversy, Grinnell wrote in one of his emails, "You shouldn't believe what you read in the newspapers who exist to hate Republicans. Don't swallow what the media tells you. Don't be gullible." Then, in a follow-up email that has since become infamous, he curtly stated, "I'm too busy to confront your vapidness." These statements are not only dismissive, but also reveal a deep-seated bias that appears to justify a rollback of initiatives that have become critical to ensuring diverse representation and equitable opportunities in the arts. Grinnell also went on to claim that the Kennedy Center was in dire financial straits, zero in the bank and zero in reserves, a situation he blamed entirely on what he described as woke programming. Yes! I cut the DEI bullshit because we can't afford to pay people for fringe and niche programming that the public won't support, he wrote, adding, yes, we are doing programming for the masses in order to pay our bills. Such candid admissions about sacrificing diversity for financial pragmatism are chilling, as they not only diminish the importance of inclusive programming, but also signal a dangerous precedent for cultural institutions that strive to represent a broad spectrum of voices. Yasmin Williams in her response was equally forthright. Urging Grinnell to reread her original email, she stated, I was relaying what others have said regarding the Kennedy Center, and I asked my own questions. I'm honestly shocked at how unprofessional your emails are, but I guess that's par for the course these days on both sides of the political aisle. Her measured yet incredulous tone resonated with many who have long felt that the arts are being increasingly politicized, forcing creative decisions and appointments to be dictated not by merit or artistic vision, but by political alignments and ideological purity tests. This entire exchange comes on the heels of significant changes at the Kennedy Center. In February, President Trump orchestrated a dramatic shakeup by removing longtime President Deborah Rutter and replacing 18 board members with his own close allies. New names now grace the board, including figures like Second Lady Usha Vance, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, while Trump himself has controversially declared himself the chairman of the Board of Trustees. Along with this power grab, he has openly advocated for non-woke programming, reviving long-forgotten classics like Cats, Fiddler on the Roof, and Phantom of the Opera. The ripple effects of these changes have been felt far and wide within the arts community, sparking fierce backlash and leading to the abrupt cancellation of more than 20 scheduled performances, including the much-anticipated production of Hamilton. Is within this context of sweeping administrative change, ideological fervor, and financial desperation that Richard Grenell's emails have taken on such a potent significance. His words, laced with partisan rhetoric and dismissiveness towards any deviation from his prescribed vision of mainstream mass audience programming, have come to symbolize a larger cultural battle, one where the fundamental principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion are pitted against a narrow interpretation of fiscal survival. Critics argue that by cutting DEI programming simply because it is seen as fringe, Grenell is not only jeopardizing the mission of a storied institution like the Kennedy Center, but also undermining the very essence of what art should represent, a reflection of a diverse, multifaceted society. Yasmin Williams' decision to share these emails on Instagram has ignited a firestorm of debate, with commentators praising her for exposing the unprofessionalism and the overt partisanship that seems to have infected one of America's cultural bastions. One comment summed up the sentiment perfectly. Absolutely unhinged response to good questions. This guy definitely didn't get hired for merit or professionalism. The reaction on social media has been swift and decisive, with many rallying behind the call for greater transparency and accountability from the Kennedy Center's leadership. The fallout from this controversy is emblematic of the changing attitudes in the arts and cultural sectors. More and more artists, creators, and audiences alike are demanding that institutions uphold the values of diversity and inclusion, not as mere buzzwords, but as integral components of a healthy, vibrant cultural ecosystem. When political ideologies begin to dictate artistic programming, it not only stifles creativity, but also alienates entire communities who have long relied on these institutions as spaces for expression, learning, and mutual understanding. Cancellation of shows like Finn and the performance by the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington is a stark indicator of how these policies are having a tangible negative impact, not just on the artists who work there, but on the public at large. Furthermore, the controversy raises important questions about the intersection of politics and art in our society. The Kennedy Center, long considered a revered institution for the performing arts, now finds itself at the epicenter of a battle over what it should represent and who it should serve. On one side, there are voices that defend the traditional, mass appeal programming that Grenell champions, arguing that financial survival necessitates a focus on broad popular shows. On the other side, there is a growing movement of artists and cultural critics who argue that art should not be sacrificed at the altar of fiscal pragmatism. Rather, it should reflect the rich tapestry of human experience, including the voices of those who have been historically marginalized. Yasmin Williams' pointed questions and her subsequent outrage at Grenell's dismissive emails speak to this larger cultural debate, one that is being fought not just in boardrooms and on stage, but in the very fabric of our society. As this controversy continues to unfold, the implications are vast. If the Kennedy Center continues down this path of non-woke programming and partisan decision-making, it risks alienating a significant portion of its audience, both those within the artistic community and the broader public who look to cultural institutions as beacons of progressive, inclusive values. In an era where social media amplifies every voice and every discontent, the demand for accountability has never been louder. The unhinged tone of Grinnell's emails, coupled with his overt dismissal of media reports and his self-assured declarations of financial crisis, paints a picture of an institution at a crossroads where the future of the Kennedy Center, and by extension the future of American art and culture, hangs in the balance. Yet, amid the chaos and the partisan rhetoric, there is also a glimmer of hope. A hope born from the courage of individuals like Yasmin Williams, who are not afraid to ask tough questions and demand transparency from the institutions that shape our cultural landscape. Her willingness to share these emails is a powerful act of defiance against the forces that seek to silence critical voices. It is a reminder that art, in all its forms, thrives on debate, on dissent, and on the relentless pursuit of truth. While Richard Grinnell's emails may seem absolutely unhinged to many, they're also a window into a system that is grappling with its own identity, a system where the clash between old money conservatism and progressive ideals is becoming increasingly pronounced. In closing, as we reflect on this explosive exchange and its far-reaching ramifications, we are left with a poignant reminder of the power of art and dialogue to effect change. The Kennedy Center, an institution once revered for its contributions to the performing arts, now faces a critical moment in its history. The decisions made in these hallowed halls will not only determine the fate of its programming, but will also shape the future of cultural discourse in America. Yasmin Williams' courageous act of sharing these unprofessional partisan emails is more than just a personal statement. It is a clarion call for transparency, accountability, and the unwavering commitment to inclusivity in our cultural institutions. Thank you for joining us tonight on this extensive journey through one of the most controversial and revealing stories in the intersection of politics and art. We hope that this in-depth report has not only informed you, but also inspired you to think critically about the role of cultural institutions in our society. Please share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. Your voice is an essential part of this conversation about the future of art, politics, and public discourse. If you found this report as compelling as we did, please like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive updates and detailed analysis on the stories that shape our world. Until next time, remember that even in the face of unyielding challenges and partisan divide, the pursuit of truth and the celebration of art remain our greatest sources of hope and unity. Good night and take care.